All right, so Ilhan Omar has recently came out and said that I don't know the exact quote, but white men are the group that we should be most worried about in society, and white men are the ones that are causing all the trouble. And I'm gonna kind of rebut that, and I'm gonna kind of talk about the truth about why she would say something like that. So, this is the FBI's Uniform Crime Report. It has the breakdown for different races. And if you look at the number of murders each year, whites are 68.9% of the population. Blacks are 27.2% of the population, but yet blacks commit more murders than whites. So obviously, blacks less than half the percent of the population than whites, yet they commit more murder. You're actually, I mean, they don't have it here, but you can look it up, that you're more likely to be a victim of a hate crime if you're white from a black person than vice versa. I mean, I think most people would assume it's the opposite, but it isn't. Um, Robbery rates higher for blacks. Rape is probably about what they should be based off the percent of the population. Robbery higher for blacks. Aggravated assaults, blacks would be slightly overrepresented in that. Burglary is about equal representation. Same with larceny. Motor vehicle, again, about even representation. Arson, whites are a little overrepresented. Fraud is about even. Embezzlement, blacks are a little over. They commit a little bit more than what they should, I guess. Overrepresented. But I mean, long story short, with this, whites aren't, and she said specifically white men. Um, they're not. If you look at the statistics, it's blacks are you should be much more worried about, and I don't think that most people are. So the main reason that she said this, now that we've debunked the idea, I mean, whites have a lower crime rate in almost every crime, and a lot of like murder, I think would be the one that you should be most worried about. Much lower. You're less than half as likely to be. If you see a white person on the street, you're less than half as likely to be killed by them as a random black person. Like I said, random. Um, so obviously these are averages, but keep that in mind because I know people are gonna point that out like they think they know what they're talking about. But the reason why you always have this berating of white people, namely white men, from the left is that white men, and well, I mean, to a lesser degree whites, but especially white men, overwhelmingly don't vote for the left. So what they need to do is they constantly need to degrade and dehumanize and everything under the sun white men because they don't vote for the left, so they need to be dehumanized, they need to be picked on, they need to be attacked in any way they possibly can because, like I said, they don't vote for the left. You don't ever hear the left talking about, oh, well, black men or black women are a huge problem in society today when you could make a very good argument that they are, but they don't do that. Why? Because they vote for the left. So of course you don't alienate people who support you. And this is one of the key differences between the right and the left nowadays is that the left tends to they don't alienate anyone who supports them no matter what. Even if it completely contradicts their own moral belief system, namely feminists. If you're Justin Trudeau, you can do whatever you want to women, or if you're Bill Clinton, better example, you can rape women, you can degrade women in any way you possibly want, and it's okay. But if you're Trump and you talk about women in general in a way that I think almost every man has at some point in their life, then you're horrible. So actually physically doing bad stuff to women is not okay, but talking about it is bad if you're on the right. So that's the obvious contradiction. There's many other examples, but the reason, like I said, why the left does this is because you can't alienate people who support you, and that's something that really holds the right back. Is they tend to alienate each other a lot. Like if you're, you're someone who's a libertarian and someone else who's a minarchist, even though there's not a whole lot of difference between the two, in fact, hardly any, you gotta attack each other for the small differences. And you do see a little bit of this with the left. Actually, it's starting to break out now, but that's mainly because the left has gone way to the left. You have the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars of the world who are way to the left, and they're getting into fights with the more moderate. I mean, they're even to the left of where the Democrats were 10 or 20 years ago, but they're not way to the left. The Pelosi's of the world, in that's more or less where the conflict is coming from in the Democratic or the liberal parties, is that the divide is that there's such a divide that you have people who are borderline communists mixed in with moderate left, center left people. And on the right, you don't have that. Like, you don't have people that are super, super far right, which I think barely even exist, mixed in with centrist rights. You have the centrist rights mixed in with the right wingers. That's what you have. So that's that. But the main point of this video is that white men, if you were to see a random person in a back alley on a walking home at night, a white man would be one of well, a white woman, but someone who's white would be one of the most likely races you'd want to come into encounter with. And it's not racist, it's just fact, because like I said, you're more than twice as likely to be murdered by a random black person than a random white person. So, like I said, where's the left saying, oh, we need to be really worried about black men? Black women are overwhelmingly, I think about 3/4 of them are that have kids, have those kids with men who don't stick around. They become single mothers. Single motherhood's one of the greatest predictors of not having success later in life. But where's the left criticizing black men for committing so much crime, or black women for screwing over the next generation? Well, it's non-existent, and it's not existent, like I said, because they vote for the left. Therefore, they can't be alienated, no matter how much it contradicts our views or opinions or anything on anything. And white men don't support the left, to a lesser degree white women. So they need to be attacked, they need to be degraded, all that stuff. So I think that kind of gets the point across that, number one, I think most people understand she's crazy, like the Ilhan Omars and AOCs of the world, but I don't think people quite realize why. I think they just think that they're misguided, but they're really not misguided. I think a lot of people, they think that people in the other political parties are stupid, which I think someone like AOC is to a degree, but they are smarter than I think the average person who criticizes them would think, because they are playing I wouldn't consider it 4D chess, but it's some 3D chess by doing this kind of stuff. So I'll leave it there. That's about all I wanted to talk about for this video. So if you liked it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.